Hello, this is Cleo speaking. Welcome to our front garden tour part 2 for the month of July. I certainly hope you enjoy it. Why does Cleo sound like a female Boris Karloff?
Hi, welcome or welcome back. I'm Cindy. My channel is Tied to the Tube, and this week I'm doing part 2 of my front garden tour. I did part 1 last week, and I will link it below so that you can check it out if you'd like to. I've decided from this point on I'm going to be dividing my front and back garden tours. And what I've got going on is a major renovation of a yard that we've neglected for way too many years. You're going to see that I've given the most attention and love to this bed here in this week's video, but I've got some areas that are far, far, far from being even close to started. So I'm going to share the good, bad, and the ugly so that you can follow along. What's that saying? A journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. Well, that is why I'm sharing these videos, to encourage you that if you haven't started yet, or if you're in the very infancy of redoing a bed, you can get encouragement and see that all it takes is some elbow grease, diligence, hard work, and you can get there too. I hope you enjoy this. Thanks for checking in. Well, this is take 2. I started it earlier today, and I don't know, maybe it was because I hadn't had enough coffee. So this is my nursery of plants without homes. The only thing that definitely has a destination are these 2 coleus plants, and I'll tell you a little bit about where I'm planning to put them in a minute. This coleus is just doing so well. I really love the two-tone color, and I love how much it's grown out and how beautiful it looks with this maidenhair fern and the bugleweed in front and this other coleus. This whole area is just happy sight, which is nice because I'm really not digging the rest of this bed. Not hating it, I will say, but it needs work. And let me start by saying that I don't mind this view right here. I love the plectranthus. It's kind of slowed down on its growth, but it's still a beautiful plant, and I'm glad that it's located where it is. And the hydrangea is beautiful, loving that. Looking forward to it getting even bigger. The boxwoods are good. The ajuga back there in front of the planter that has the fountain grass with the dichondra, silver falls cascading down the side, all of that. Love it. Even the planter there with the obelisk, I love that. I probably need to do a little something with those vines because they're just going up in a single string, if you will, and I think it would look better if it was a little more full. So I'm going to have to probably pinch those a bit. But the plant in the center is a mahogany hibiscus. I did pinch that, and I like how that's looking. I love that the purple fountain grass has those little feathers, or whatever they're called, the little blooms, I guess. Oh, so pretty. It does need some trimming. You can see there that it's gotten a little bit brown at the bottom, so I need to go in there with some judicious grooming. But let's step back for a minute. This bed is not horrible, but I'm going to tell you what I don't like. Well, you can probably see for yourself. It's looking scraggly. It's looking scraggly, and I can point out what the things are that I have a problem with. I don't know, maybe you see it differently. Let's start right here. Let's start at the very beginning, a very good place to start. So these are petunias, clearance petunias, no less, with a few random little seedlings. I think those are weeds. These petunias aren't doing well. They need to be yanked. The hostas look good. The alstroemeria has made me very happy. This white one with the pink little accent is just gorgeous and is not too chewed up, which is lovely. Its little friend here, this yellow one, it looks positively skeletal. They were both the same size. I purchased them at the same nursery, not on the same day, but they were the, I don't know, is it a 5-gallon pot? So you can see that whatever's eating stuff here, I believe it's probably caterpillars and or slugs. They really like the yellow one. Then I have a little baby one here that came in a little 4-inch pot, and that one's not doing too badly. It's a pure white, so it's a little different than this white one that has the pink. So I think next year these are going to really wow me, but for this year I've enjoyed them. And I'm not going to plant anything, I'm not planning to plant anything between them because I think they'll fill out. The area behind this coleus is a little bit of a mess. I had planted a lot of delphinium plugs. Now I need to trim back the flower stalks. You can see they look kind of raggedy. And as you may recall, if you've watched my videos before, I had a lot of calla lily bulbs that were in this area, and I replanted them. I dug them up by accident. They kind of were a surprise. I didn't know they were where they exactly were, and anyway, long story short, I put them back in, and I don't know, I just feel like this is a bit of a mess. I don't know. We'll see what I do with it. Maybe I will let it just bloom out next year and hope for the best. There's a little calla lily in front that I got from a plant exchange, and those never bloomed. Actually, none of the calla lilies bloomed. These ones are pure white though. At least that's what I was told. The ones in the back are some kind of a colored flower, kind of a dusky purple. So that's one problem area that I may not do anything about. The ajuga as well. I just need to kind of get in here and pull up the little encroaching, I was gonna say lettuce, lawn, grass, if you will. I'm always reluctant to call it grass. So the hostas are good. The other thing I'm not liking in this bed in general are all these annual salvias, which there's one right behind the hosta there. There's one to the left of it here. There's one to the right of it here. There's one right over here. There's another one between the ferns over there and this azalea. I just dotted them wherever I saw that I had room, hoping they would fill in and just look lovely, but they never have managed to look lovely. They're not adding to the landscape, so they're probably gonna go. These are impatiens, which are ordinarily a very lovely flower, but also a very thirsty flower, and it's not one that I've meant for the long haul. It was a clearance plant, and it was put here mainly as kind of a placeholder while I waited for the gomphrena to grow out. So this is the truffula pink gomphrena, which I just adore. I don't remember it having these little yellow tips last year. I don't know if you can see those. They're not yellow, they're kind of an orange. Very pretty. And I still love this plant. It's a bit bushier than when I bought it. The only problem I'm having with it, and I'm gonna go down a little, see if you can see better, is it's so tall. It's really taller than I would like right here, because I'm trying to do a bit of a layered planting. So I'm going to have to figure out a better place for that, which means I'm gonna have to come up with another plan for what's going to go here, because I don't want to be dealing with thirsty plants or annuals in this area. Now, moving on, I have a sad little situation here with my Heuchera. These were both very beautiful Heuchera plants. They were both kind of in the lemon lime kind of coloring. I have another one here. This one's more of a reddish kind of a foliage. But the two that were in the back were my favorites, and they've just pretty much died back. I don't know if that's their habit. I'm new to so many plants that I just really don't know, and I thought with us being in California that they wouldn't do anything like that, but maybe they do. I'm not giving up on them. I'm not giving up on you guys. I'm gonna pull you through this, I hope. Anyway, I'm gonna trim them back, see what happens. I think that's it for this area. I didn't mention that I've also got to come up with a new solution for this rose in the pot, because it's a carpet rose. And I knew that when I bought it, but I didn't really know. I mean, a carpet rose sounds like it should be more of a ground cover kind of rose. But being the forever optimist, I thought I could just put it in a pot, kind of like I did with the iceberg rose. And I don't think it's going to allow itself to be contained. So, excuse me, I'm going to have to figure out another plan. I don't think it's going to stay in the front. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna move it to the back. We'll see. The coleus that I mentioned in my little nursery, the red ones, I am planning to move those back here behind the plectranthus. So I'm gonna put one there and then one over here. It's tight. It's gonna be a tight little squeeze. I don't know if I'm asking for trouble, but that's what I'm thinking of doing. We'll see how that works. I'm gonna think on it. Maybe it would be better to move it up here somewhere. I don't know. It'll be a surprise for all of us. So these ferns are doing really well. Leather leaf, I think they're called. They were really yellow when I first transplanted them, so they're not really bright green, or I should say deep green, but they're looking a lot healthier and a lot better than when they were moved, so I guess they're getting over whatever shock they were enduring. I do have a couple of hawthorns back there that I still need to plant. I think one of them may have died. And then behind this, I had been talking about putting some white gladiola bulbs in, and I finally got around to that. So I have not painted this bench yet. I did buy paint to paint it. I will not reveal the color at this point. That will be a surprise as well. So the plants that are sitting on this bench are not really intentional plantings. The azalea was one of a pair that I had originally purchased for my porch. The other one has moved on. It's become part of the landscape, I guess you could say. The impatiens below are looking a little long in the tooth, as all impatiens do in our area when summer comes, at least in my landscape, because I'm not going to give them the amount of water that they would need to stay very lovely. I don't have the time, and I don't want to be watering that often, so they're really not that great of a choice for me in summer. This pairing was not a great pairing. This is a Silverado sage with moneywort, and the moneywort seems to like a more shady environment, whereas I think the Silverado sage likes more sun. So they're both making do with this dappled sun and shade area, but I'm going to probably have to separate them. I don't really like how they look even, I guess. This is just a placeholder. I am really happy with my coprosma though. This one was a little teeny tiny little plant that I got at a plant exchange, and it is really pretty. I love how waxy the leaves are and the two-tone color, and it seems like a good choice for this little spot here. We'll see how that works out as time passes. So these are my hydrangeas that were moved from the office bed. I still tend to think of them as part of the office bed, but they're now part of Pine Curve. And they are thirsty plants as well, but they seem to do pretty well in this spot, a little better than they did in the office bed because they don't get a lot of direct sunlight. The tree here on the left blocks them from the morning sun, and then in the evening the sun generally goes behind another tree that's in the backyard, so they don't get too much direct sun, but they will let me know when they're thirsty. But I love that they're growing and looking, more robust than they ever did when they were in the garage bed. And then my little red blooming azalea is also putting on more growth, so that looks like it's happy here. The liriope is putting on new growth, not actually flourishing, but it's definitely not failing, so I'm happy for that. And then my little tiny heucheras are still tiny. I do have work to do in this bed. You can see that the encroachment continues with this grass, and this is a project that's been sitting on hold. I had pulled these bricks away when we had the plumbing work done and started pulling the grass back, and then life interrupted and I've never come back out here and worked on this, and so now it's really taking hold, so I got to get that under control. This one's a columbine and it has stopped blooming, but it has these lovely seed heads, so I'm hoping to save seeds. The Japanese fern is doing well. Overall, I think it's doing well. And then I'm really, really happy with how this coleus is doing. It never, ever flourished like this when it was in the garage bed. it was in the office bed. So it just seems like this is the spot for this plant. The little calla lily that's tucked in there, we'll see how that goes. That one was a surprise. I mentioned in an earlier video when I transplanted this, the bulb must have been in the root ball. So and now I'm going to show you the real horrible extent to which the Pine Curve bed has gone, the lows it has achieved. It's just really, it's a mess. It's a hot mess. And unfortunately, when it's hot, that's a segue. When it's hot weather-wise, I don't always get out this far into the lawn to water. You can see that all my little poor baby clearance shrubs are starting to die, which just irks me, but I have no one to blame but myself. I've got to get on top of watering these, and more than that, I've got to get on top of digging up this grass, and my husband did tell me he's going to work on this too, so that's great because he's got the muscle. It's hard for me to unearth this grass. It's not like regular turf. You can't just put an edger in and dig it up. It's got runners, and this is so well established that the runners go deep, and it's just really hard to break it up. So we've got to get on it, and it's a horrible look right now, but I've got hopes for it. I've got vision. I expect to see it looking a lot better than it does right now. My lantana is looking okay. I don't water it, so it's reliant on whatever groundwater it can find or whatever rain, dew. I might occasionally throw the hose in this direction, but really there's no irrigation for our parking strip. So you can see, as I predicted in an earlier video, that in summer it's a sad sight, which is why the plan that we have for this will make a difference, I think, because we're going to remove all the lawn and we're going to turn it into a dry creek, which will be also a sort of a bioswale. That's the plan. So we'll have indentations at the low points and put some rocks and some pebbles and just plant it up with plants that don't really need a lot of water, natives and drought tolerant plants. And then the last part of this second half of my front yard tour is my walkway. So if you've been following me, you know that this is an area I'm itching to work on. It's not going to be a fun job simply because, once again, it's this horrible grass, but my husband's really eager to get started on it as well. So he is going to, as soon as I can mark out the boundaries of what the width of the walkway will be and the shape it'll take, he's going to start coming out and removing the grass. And after a lot of thought, I think what I'm going to do is probably incorporate some of these aggregate pavers that were the original stepping stones. I'm going to incorporate them into gaps in this natural stone pathway, just so that it's a little more dense. And then what will go in between all the stones and pavers, etc., will be what's left of the gravel back there, and that'll get a lot of the gravel off of our driveway. And I do have one other thing I'm going to also be putting in here with these stones, and that's some bricks. They're the same bricks that I used in this bed over here. So you can see the little bricks that edge the planter. I think that that'll kind of connect these two areas. And then as far as planting, we will be putting plants over here. Not a lot, because the idea is it should be pretty low maintenance and also not need a lot of water, although it will get water with the lawn because we do water the lawn. But I as much as I love the cottage look, as you can tell if you look at this little patch that I have been working on, I'm going to try to emulate a cottage look without using thirsty plants. So my goal is to find plants that don't look scrubby, because that's always been my issue with native plants and drought tolerant plants and xeriscape plantings. A lot of them look so desert-like, and I think that there's a way to do it. I've really learned a lot. I've mentioned that more than once. There are a lot more California natives that I don't think get used very often. They're just not well known. And I think that I could, if I put my mind to it, I think I'll be able to find plants that will give me the kind of look that I like without it going scrubby desert. And I almost feel like this little bed kind of hints at that. I didn't really know much about that when I did this little section, but there are drought tolerant things in here. The little lemon coral sedum down here, the coreopsis is drought tolerant. And then I've got a little soap, what is it? Rocket? I can't remember. I can never remember the name of this plant. Little Miss Sunshine is the variety, but I don't remember the name of the plant. I'll have to put that on screen. Anyway, plants again that don't need a lot of water. So that's the goal for over here, and it'll marry the two areas together. And we'll probably have to kind of repeat some of the plants that are going in the walkway with plants that go into the parking strip and plants that go into Pine Curve, just to give us a kind of a unified feel. And maybe that will help guide me with, pardon the hose so we didn't roll that up, guide me with what I want to do over here too, just to kind of make it more of a cohesive space. Get some plants in this bed that that kind of repeat plants that we're using elsewhere. It's a work in progress, to be sure. Well, that's going to do it for this week. I had really hoped I could show you a completely revamped version of the office bed behind me. But I need to make some decisions before I can complete it. So, and will it ever be completed? I don't think so. All these beds are a work in progress. But I want to thank you for watching the video. I really hope you'll subscribe. That really helps me with YouTube, promoting my videos to other people who might enjoy them. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I will see you next week. I post a video weekly, and next week I'll be moving into the backyard. I'm going to be dividing the backyard into 2 separate videos as well, tour videos. So I'm going to start with a video of my raised bed vegetable garden. And it's really changed since I did the last one, so I'm really eager to share that with you. So I look forward to seeing you then, and I thank you very much for watching my video. Bye!